Okay, welcome everybody for another London Excel Meetup. Today is all about the magic of lists.
Common reaction.
Power Query. So we'll see what roller coaster ride Gašper takes us on, who's our presenter today. There's a picture of him. I'm not sure what he looks like now. He's not showing himself, but
I still have Corona hair, so
yeah, exactly. I think I saw that last year.
There you go.
Yes, just a normal few words from me before I pass over to the stuff we're actually interested in, which is not me yappering on. A few things about Zoom for anyone who might be new to it. You should have a toolbar probably at the bottom of your screen if you're on a laptop or a computer. I don't know where it appears on your phone, but it will have a chat box, which is the most important one, because you can use that to engage with everybody else in the meeting. And please also use it to post your questions, which will try and fit into the session or leave at the end where we have a proper Q&A and try and get as much done in the time we have, you know. Also bear in mind in that chat box that there is a little drop down list at the bottom, which that beautiful red arrow is going to, which should be set to everyone. But if someone sends you a private message, a direct message, that will change to their name. So just keep your eye on that before you send a message, so you know you're sending it to the right person, really, because that catches a lot of people out. Upcoming events, we've got 3 events in the calendar at the moment for this group. Next one is 2 weeks' time with Mr. Bob Umlas, who's on the call right now, doing some tips and tricks. Then 2 weeks after that, we've got some dirty cheating with charts coming from John Peltier. And then another 2 weeks later, we have Office Scripts, an introduction to it, which is coming from Paul Kelly. And he will also be presenting at the Toronto Excel group, organised by Celia, who's here tonight as well. I don't think she has a date for it yet. If you do, can you pop it in the chat, Celia? I had a look earlier and I didn't see a date booked in yet. But there's going to be a follow-on from my session, like this session here, at the Toronto group. So if you're interested, it makes sense to follow part 1 for part 2. That's why they're numbered like that. So that will be good. All of them 6 o'clock UK time. Be careful of your time zones. So, so that is that. I don't want to talk too much about me. I'll leave Gašper to introduce himself properly and take us on an exciting journey of the magic with lists. So if I stop sharing, Gašper, if you can grab control and
sure,
lead the way.
So the slide is showing up, right?
It is indeed.
Okay. Okay, so welcome everyone. It's sort of an honor to finally be invited by Alan. I'm going to be talking about lists in Power Query, which I think are kind of underrated and underused. But basically, we sort of use them all the time. We just don't know it. And this is going to show you how to kind of use them on purpose and how to make even better use of those lists in Power Query. Now, for you that don't know me, my name is Gašper Kamenšek. I'm a Microsoft MVP. I come from Slovenia. And Alan says, I got to tell you this. So I come from the only country in the world that has the word love in the name, right? So there it is, love. And but basically what I'm mostly known for is I have a blog called Excel Unplugged, and that has been a tremendous resource for me of just meeting people from Excel world. I met Alan through my blog, through him commenting on how amazing my stuff was, right? And I met Oz. I still owe Oz a beer because of my blog. So that has really been a a great source of, of falling into this crowd, and it's how I actually became an MVP. And I hear that congrats are in order. Alan just became an MVP this month, so congratulations, Alan. You see what happens when you invite me? Okay, so that's it about this. So we're going to have free demos. We're just going to do all demos on this. So we're going to have free demos one by one, and then we're going to have the Q&A. Basically, the way this is timed, we should be done by 8, or actually I'm talking to you in Central European time. So that would be 7 UK, and well, just the rest of you just figure out which time that is for you guys, because you're from all over the world now. And basically we're going to start with this. This has long been one of my favorite kind of uses of lists in Power Query, and it's very basic. And we're not even going to do the whole scenario. We're just going to do a kind of outtake of a scenario. An outtake of a scenario would be this: we have certain dates and we have exchange rates on those dates. So for a certain currency into other currency, here are the exchange rates. And the problem with exchange rates usually is the way you want to get them, and that would be either in Excel or in Power BI. You want to get them from an online source which would refresh itself, and that would sort of be kind of the European banks or something like that. So in Slovenia, we take them from Bank of Slovenia, but in other countries, you take your local bank or you take the European bank or whatever. And usually what you're going to get is you're going to get your exchange rates on certain dates, and then certain dates will be missing, like the 16th and the 17th over here. And what that is, actually, that would be your Saturdays and Sundays, right? And let's say that we want to put this exchange rates into work, because we have an online shop. So we're selling stuff, and we're selling online, which means there's no Saturdays, there's no Sundays. The store is open all the time. So we do get sales on Saturdays and we do get sales on Sundays. Now, we sell all over the world and we let people pay in all currencies, which means we're going to get some transactions on the 16th and the 17th. And what we need to do is we actually need to sort of blow up this data set. We need to make it bigger. And we're going to do this right now just by using lists. And we're actually going to go way overboard with this. So we have a small amount of dates over here. So we have 8 days. And for 8 days, we have the exchange rate. And we're going to start with this, and we're going to say we're going to blow that up to the entire year. So we're going to take this.
Gašper?
Yep.
Can you zoom in?
Sure.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. That's not going to work in Power Query Editor, right? But as far as we're in Excel, there you go.
Yes,
So
I'm aware.
This is the data set we have, and we have 2 dates, and I already marked them as start date and end date. So these are named ranges in Excel, just so I can easily column them in Power Query. And now let's just go to Power Query and see where it takes us. So we're going to do this. Ooh, and now I have a problem with this. There you go. So it's data and from table range. So we're just going to push this one in. And there will be no problem with this. Oh, I forgot to mention. So this is going to be in, so you're going to get a kind of a lesson in Slovenian regional settings now, because we do comma for decimal values or decimal separator, and we do dates as well. I think dates are mostly day, month, year in all the countries in the world except for that one that is very special. So you're gonna recognize dates okay, and the numbers are actually 7 point something. Okay, so we got this one, and now we need to get the start date and the end date. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go new query, other sources, blank query. We're going to say use this Excel.current workbook and just get me my start date for beginning. And what I actually need is just the date. Or let's take this one step further. Let's actually change it into a whole number right off the bat. So this is same as in Excel, right? Every date is actually just a number. They're called serial numbers for a reason. So every date has a number that tells you which day after the January 1st of 1900 it is, or if you're using Mac 1904 and whatever. So this will be our start date represented by a number. And now let's just do a duplicate of this. And in this duplicate, let's say that the navigation should actually take us to the other source, which is the end date from this. And we're going to change it into a number. And we're going to do this. So we have our, let's call this start date. And let's call this one end date, has to be properly named. Okay, so now I have the start date and the end date. And mind you, this is the January 1st and this is the December 31st. And these are the days that we actually have as values. And now we want to do this. Now we want to say, okay, I want to start with a fresh query just so we have everything separated. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say equals start with start date and go all the way up to end date like this. So what this is going to create is a list of numbers between the first and the last, right? If I was to replace this by 1 and replace this by 10, you would get a list of numbers from 1 to 10, but we're going to go ahead and change this back into start date and end date like this. Okay, so this is a list now. So I just created a list, and the reason why this is great is this list has those missing values. Now, I started with this and this, but I might as well have started with this and this. You see, I would have created a list from here to here, and I would have had those two values, right? I just went way overboard and I created this. So now I'm going to say, change this to a table, because it's a list right now. So I'm going to change it to a table. I'm going to say these are dates, because that's what they are, right? They've just been represented by their serial numbers. And I'm going to call this date 2. You're going to see why in a moment. So we have our date column here and exchange rate column here, and we have this here. And now what I want to do is I want to bring in this one. So I want to bring in this one over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, merge, right? Basic. With this one, here's the date, here's the date. And then we realize these are not dates. Let's change them into dates. There you go. Okay. So we have merge queries. So we have date and date. We do okay. And we bring in the exchange rate. And basically, if I just scroll down long enough, I'll get to the exchange rates that I actually have. And then, you know, the ones that I don't, right? But here's where the magic happens. Here's where I do 2 simple clicks. I say transform, fill, and fill down. And then I go fill and fill up. And what I get is I get an exchange rate for each and every date. And in those few days that I was actually following the real exchange rates, you would see that on the 16th and the 17th, they're actually a repeater of the Friday one. But I do get exchange rates for each and every date. Right? And all this just because of lists. So start with a list, and then you get, well, from this to this, right? It's pretty amazing. And where this is actually extra cool is if you do something like this. So let me just not load this anywhere for right now, only create connection. And then I'm gonna move Ellen's head out of the way. There you go. And do query 1, and I want to load this one into a table like so. Oh, come on. There you go. Okay, and now if I change this, if I go to my original table and I just add January 1st, and that one would be, or actually let's add the 10th of January 2020, and the exchange rate will be something like 7.0. And then we're going to do, let's say, the 1st of July 2020, and that one will be 8. So we just got some new information, and now we want to see how this changes. Let's refresh it. And you're going to see that now we got the 7 all the way up to those dates where we had the previous real data. And then this one goes on until we got hit July 1st, and that one's 8. So this one is just going to feed itself, and it's going to kind of fill in the blanks one by one, right? And all we actually do is once we get, let's say, the 1st of February 2021, and that one will be 9. All we need to do is say, okay, now we actually need to go to the, let's say, 31st of March 2021 for our end date. And we just go here, we do a refresh. And this one goes all the way down to, so like this, goes all the way down to March 31st. And that's all 9s, right? And they start on the February 1st. So this is just a kind of a simple representation. But what you've actually seen here is you've seen how every calendar for every Power BI model that has been done in Power Query is done. It's basically, give me a start date, give me the end date, and I'll fill the rest. Because what you need for a calendar in Power BI and Power Pivot, you need January 1st, you need December 31st, and you need all the dates in between, right? And we do this with a simple list. Okay, so this was just to sort of warm up and to see what lists are, and just to sort of show you. So the lists, because maybe you haven't seen it yet. It's that elusive in Power Query. So lists would be this icon, right? So rarely seen and so rarely used. Now let's do another case, and this one will be much more hands-on, and this is where we're going to use lists in quite a few separate occasions. So we're going to start with this one. Now the scenario here is this. We have a list of sales. So this is sales, but it's simplified to the extremes, in a sense of, okay, each sale has an ID, each sale has a date, and then you get your product ID that was sold, and you get the value of product ID sold for that date. Okay, so this is our basic data set. But what we're actually doing now won't be a sales example per se. We'll be doing a marketing example. And marketing example will be something like this. So this is our sales. Now, the month that we want to focus on is May. And in the month of May, we actually had 5 pushes of 5 products, labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because why make things complicated? And what we did is we have certain channels that we marketed on, but the point here is these are the products that were marketed, right? So in May, this is the ones that we pushed. Now, here's what we want to kind of achieve with Power Query. We want to, from all this data, we want to get to, from May to April, we want to see the difference between May and April for each and every product. But then the ones that we really want to focus on are these. And we want to see if month over month, May over April, if the percentages of sales went up. So if we sold more in May than we did in April. But then we want to do something even better than that. We want to go, okay, I want to take these and I want to see what percentage I went, month over month, May over April. But then I want to see all the other products. So all the other products that are not listed here, I want to see those as a separate row, which would say others. And then I would have the percentage of all the others combined. And let's say we'll do an average of that one, right? So I can easily say, okay, we pushed these, and these are the results that we got. But on all the others that we haven't, these are the results that we got. And we can immediately see if that was, a successful marketing campaign or not. Now, this is not to simplify marketing. Of course, this is kind of the basic analysis you can do, because even better it would be if you would compare it to a previous month over month in the beginning, and then compare it to all the other products, because some products sell better, some products sell worse. So that's it's kind of a basic thing, but we're going to use lists here all the time. And we're going to start with this. So I'm going to need this table and I'm going to need this table. I'm going to need both of them in the Power Query. So I'm going to start with this first table. I'm going to go data from table range. And then I really wish I would have checked what the other table was called. So let's go back. Let's do a connection only here. And this one is called, oh, it has a fancy name of table 2. So let's put this one in Power Query 2. Okay, so these are the 2 tables I have. And to start off, I'm going to change this product into a list. Now, the whole column, I just want that to be a list of values. You can do that many different ways. Probably the easiest way would actually be to just say, right-click this column and say drill down, and you're going to get a list from that column. But you could also go on that column, and that is the, well, it's the longest way available. Go to transform, go convert to list. It will do the same thing. And I'm going to call this one my list, like this. So this is my list of products, right? These are the ones that we've been marketing, and it's just whatever I've written in Excel. And now let's take this one, and let's start off with this one. So let's reference this one and start off like this. So this should only be a date. And the first thing I need from this date is actually to have the month name, because all I need is May and April. So I'm just going to go add column, date, month, name of month. And then I'm going to, just for the sake of it looks so much better, I'm going to change this into all caps. Oh my God. I'm going to change this into all caps. And I'm only going to take the first 3, so the first characters. So the first 3 characters like this, right? And then because I only need the May and April, and I'm so glad that you're learning Slovenian with this, because this is how we write May, right? We don't use the Y. So we have the month, we have the product ID, and we have the value. And what I'm going to do now is the date, I no longer need the date, and I actually no longer need the ID. So I'm just going to do the month name and product ID, and I'm going to go select the both, go to transform, go to group by, and say group by these 2. And then I want, let's call it total income. And I want you to do sum on column value like this. So what I get is for each month, for each product ID, I get a total income. But this is now, so every row is just one number. So I'm going to take the month name and I'm going to pivot this column. And the values are total income, of course. And I want you to do sum. So I'm going to do this. And right now I have for each product, right? I have the April and I have the May numbers, which is what I sort of wanted to start with, right? This is the sales that I want to compare. And we could actually take this just one step further and sort of go to, okay, so I have these two, but what I actually need is month over month percentage of these, right? But because I'm going to need this later on, I'm just going to rename the last step and I'm going to call it base. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to add a new column to this. So add column, custom column, and it will be, you know, one of those simple ones. So it will be take May, subtract April, and then divide that by April like this. So this is my month over month. And I'm going to remove these two. And now I have my products and I'll have this, but which products am I actually interested in? So which products do I want to look this? So at, right? I want to look at this for those specific products that I have been marketing. So what I would actually want to do is I want to filter out only those products that I have been marketing, those that appear in the first column of my table. Now, you can, of course, use your sharp eyes and do this and sort of go like this. But the problem is this will never be dynamic. And if you look at the code that has been written, it's probably one of the worst codes ever, right? It's this or this or this or this. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to do something like this. We're going to change this into list dot contains. So we're going to say, I want you to look at if the values are in a certain list. Now, this shockingly, to start with, demands a list. And luckily I have one. I call it my list. And then as parameter 2, it's asking me to which column should I look at? And the column that I want to be looking at is product ID. So it's this one, right? And then I go, okay, so I want you to only select those where this is actually true, right? So let me just check if I actually need the step name. This is cheating, kind of. Nope, I did it right. Or obviously I didn't. So it's, let me just check that one. Oh, Alan's head is in the way again. And as always in Power Query, we're destroyed by all caps. There you go, so true. And this, the brilliance of this is dynamic. So someone's even called the police now. So the brilliance of this is taking my list, whatever appears in that table, whatever has been marketed, that's what it's going to get filtered to right here, right? So, and I'm going to copy this one because I'm going to need it later on. So I'm just going to copy this one. And as far as this one is concerned, I'm just going to change this into a percentage. And I'm going to call this percentage difference. And I'm going to call this, well, let's just leave it as product ID. So we've got this. And now what I want to do is I want to calculate the others, remember, right? So we want to filter out these and do this separately, but then we want to do all the others together. So I'm going to create a new blank step by clicking the FX, and then I'm going to say, go back to base, whatever that was. Oh, and I'm also going to do something else. I'm going to go one step back because this one has an ugly name because it has a space there, and those are very hard to call upon. So I'm going to rename this into the, let's say, top half. It's actually top 60%, but it doesn't matter. So top half. And now I'm back on whatever step base was given me, right? I'm back on that one. And what I want to do with this one is first, I want to filter it out to all the others. So this, I just want to filter out to all the others. Now I'm going to start with the same step I did before. So with all that, or this, or this, or this. But then I'm going to take this out. And I'm going to swap this with the list contains. But this time, the only thing I need to change is the true needs to become a false. So this time, I'm actually looking at those that are not contained in my list, right? And now those first 5 are just gone. But this filtering, it's dynamic and it's run through the list contains. So it's run by a list, and the list is created from our table. And then with this, I just go back to the same steps I did before. So I would say add column, custom column. This would be the, take this one, subtract this one, divide by this one, this. I don't need these two. So remove those two. This is okay. This one needs to become a percentage, and it needs to have the percentage difference. Will that count? Yeah. So like this. And now I haven't quite done, I'm not quite done yet, because at this point I have percentage difference for all of them, but I don't need that. What I need is actually a average of this for all of these. And I just want to sort of average this column. Now we could do that by simply saying transform and average, but I want to kind of do it differently. I want to add a column. It will be a custom column, and it will be a simple la la la. So the only thing I need is for each and every row to have the same value, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, I'm going to group by this one, and I'm going to say I want you to call it percent difference, and I want that one to be an average of all of these. Oh, yeah, it's cool. So like this. Now this should be product ID. And the only thing is, a la 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 doesn't sound good. So I'm just gonna replace values. And I'm gonna replace the, oh, this is very unfortunate. So every time I have Zoom, Power Query keeps shooting this blank things at me. So I go, let's see if I can do this blindly. La 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 to others. Okay, not okay. You probably can't hear the mad typing that is happening over here. So I'm just gonna cancel that one out. And I'm gonna try to do this. Oh, it's just gonna be la la la. Or actually, let's go over here and let's say la 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 should actually be others. And now we have others. Okay. So this one should be text. This one is, and let's see if the top half actually has the right. No, it doesn't. So this one should be text. Insert. And then top half goes like this. Cool. So now I have the top half, and I've calculated the bottom half here. Let's just turn this into a percentage. And let's call this bottom half. And now all I need to do is to just put these two together. And the code that will do that is a simple table combine. So we're going to say a new blank step. We could actually use this one. So we're going to say table combine. Bottom half is the one that you're adding. And the first one should be called top half, like this. So we do this. Oh, I have 2 equal signs. This actually happened at a training session I had today. Cool. So this is what we get, right? We get the product with IDs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are their numbers. And then all the others combined have these numbers. Now, this is something that's, it's pretty difficult to do even in Power BI. In Power BI, sometimes you want a top 10 and then you want all the others, right? And there's no visual that actually does that in that sense, except Zebra BI. So it's hard to do. And this is how you can actually do it in Power Query. And then you get a table that you can just show up, or actually just show in Power BI or in Excel. So this is a table that we get, right? But the genius of this is I'm just going to load this. I'm going to get 3 sheets. So I'm going to load this. Wait a bit. So this one I don't need. I'm just going to delete this one. This one needs to be connection only. And then this one is OK. So this is my result. And this could be percentages. But the point of this is if I just go here and I say, well, this one is actually 10. This one is 32. This one is 6. I just go here and I refresh this one. There you go. Right, so now I got those calculated, and the others now include those that I just sort of took out of the list. And this is the brilliance of lists when you use them as filters. So you're using something that is not necessarily meant as a filter, but what you're using is you're using the let's just see, is this one, right? You're using list contains, and then with a true or a false as your dynamic filter, because the list is going to change, and then it's going to dynamically filter that column. And this is the magic of filters, right? And now let's do another one, and this will be the last one. So hold your applause until the last one. So we're going to close this one. And we're going to go for the demo 3. Oh, which will actually be, let's start off like this. Let's start with a blank Excel. Now my Excel just takes quite some time to open. And I so hope that Fast Excel from Charles Williams will not crash this time, because it did this morning. Oh, there you go. It all works. Brilliant. So what I want to do now is I want to take a couple of files from a certain folder, and they look something like this. So each file has multiple sheets. It only has 2 in this case, but it doesn't matter how many sheets there would be. And each of those has, well, some sort of a financial statement where it has some actuals, some plan, and then some differences between actual and plan, so deviations. Now, what I want to do is I want to do something like this. I want to say, take all the files from this folder, take all the sheets from this folder, and then take all of those tables, but only the columns that are actually actuals. So don't give me plan, don't give me actual minus plan, don't give me anything else but actuals. Right? So that's the idea, and that's what we're going to do here. And we're going to start with something which I've just lost, wish I hadn't. My blank Excel just disappeared. Oh my God. There you go. Okay, so we're going to say data, get data from file from workbook. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a query that can handle a single one of those sheets. Once we have that one, we're going to turn it into a function. And once we have that function, we're going to run it on the entire folder, on all the files, on all the sheets. So we're going to go with something like this. We're going to say, go to, so go to this one. And let's just take the first one. It doesn't really matter. So take this one. And I'm actually going for the sheet here. So I'm going to go for the sheet name, because what I want this to be able to do is to say, take all the sheets, right? So I need sheets as a sort of a parameter that I can later on call upon with my function. So I really need sheets to be an object here. So I'm going to take the monthly site one, and I'm going to transform it a bit. Okay, the first thing I'm going to take out is the change type step. Now, every time you're trying to do a function that would work everywhere, the change type steps are a single killer of all Power Query functions that you want to make dynamic. So change type always goes out. You can change it on the columns that you know are going to be present in all of the of your sheets. You can do that manually, but as far as the general sheet is concerned, the change step goes out. And then we're going to do something like this. So the top two rows are useless, but I'm going to do something else. I'm not going to do the remove top rows and do 2, because I don't really know if another sheet maybe has more. So I'm just going to filter out the nulls. I'm going to say, well, if it's blank, I don't care about it. So this is my data, but I don't really need this data. What I need is for the columns to only get those columns that have the actuals. And we're going to do this like this. So we're going to rename the last step. We're going to call it base, because we're going to call upon it again. And then we're going to take the data as it stands right now, and we're going to say, I want you to take this one, and what I want you to do is to transpose it. Why? Well, because these are my column names now. I want to remove all other columns. And with this one, what I want to do is I want to say, well, let's do a text filter, and let's keep only those columns that end with, right? Because those are the ones that I need. The actuals end with AC. And it would be cool if the month was also there. So I'm going to say, or it equals month. So those are the columns that I want to keep. All right. So this is the list of columns, but it's not a list right now. It's just a column of a table. So I need to create a list from it. Now, we already talked about the drill down. So now let's go for the longest one, transform, convert to list, like this. And these are my, let's call this columns. Okay. So these are my columns. And now I'll go like this. I'll go create a new step and restart from what I saved as base. Oh, come on. There you go. And then promote headers. And now I need a step that will say the columns that I need are this, this, and this, right? So basically, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, well, this one, this one, this one, this one. And as you can see, I actually paid no attention to which one I'm actually choosing. And I'm going to say remove all other columns. But then I'm going to try and look at what I actually got. And if you look at this incredible code that is here, it says table select columns. Start with a step that is called change type, and we actually need to delete that one because change type is a killer. But beyond that, it says select these columns. And the important part here is, do you see that the column names are actually within the curly brackets? And what that means, well, that is actually a list. So what if I could actually just say, well, don't take this list. What I want you to use is my Let's just find it. Where's the name? Remove the columns for table. Did I rename the step or did I not rename the step? I think it's column 1, but it's very strange. Column 1. Let's see if it is. Yeah, there it is. It shouldn't be called column 1. It should be called columns like this. So just keep those columns that are on my list of columns, and the list of columns is dynamically derived by filtering all the columns to just those that are either month or end with actual. Right? And now let's look at this change type, and we need to delete this one because this one's going to kill this query if we don't, like this. Okay. So this is the query that we actually need. Now we're just going to do a duplicate of this. And with the duplicate, we're going to go to Advanced Editor, and we're going to change it into a function. So we're going to say, what you're going to get is file name, and you're going to get a sheet name. And then you're going to do everything I taught you with those. So this shouldn't be hard-coded like this. This should be a file name. And this should not be hard-coded like this. This should be a sheet name like this. Okay. So now that I have my function, oh, there it goes. Oh, who did the equals? File name, sheet name, sheet name. This actually looks good. File name, sheet name equals. The file name was not recognized, so I missed. Oh, there you go. I can see it. Alan, you should be reminding me of this stuff. There you go. Oh. So it's this. Yeah, that would work. There you go. So now I have my incredible function that filters columns. Like there. And now it even has a fancy name. And now I can go, okay, new query, file, folder. And here comes the fun part. So it's this, it's work in progress, it's conference and trainings, it's woo, it's this, and there it goes. So we're going to start off with this. We're going to say transform. And all that I actually need is the folder path and the file name. So remove all other columns. Now the file name, it should not contain tilde. Now these are your temporary files. You need to get rid of those, right? These are the ones that would be open. And if you don't get rid of those, you're just going to get duplicates of data, which you don't want. And then if I was really going for the bulletproof, I would actually start over here and I would take the extension. I would say only take the Excel files. And if I would want to bulletproof that one, I would actually change the extensions all to uppercase and then filter to uppercase XLS. So starts with .xls. So I would get all the Excel files, even if there are macros in them and whatever's. But let's leave it at this. And I'm going to put these two together. So I'm going to select them. I'm going to say transform merge columns like this. And this is what we get. So this is the whole file path. But my function doesn't only require a file path, or I actually called it file name. It should be file path. It requires the sheet name. So now I need to get the names of all the sheets. So I need to go add column, custom column, and it's going to be excel.workbook file.contents. Oh, that went terribly wrong. File dot contents. There it is. From what? From this file. Go. Okay. And now I get the contents of these two. And the only thing that I actually need from these two is I need a name of the object within the file, and I need the kind of the object within the file. So is it a sheet? Is it a table? Is it a defined name? Is it a print area? And now I can say, okay, I have a function that will only work on sheets. So I'm not interested in nothing else but sheets, like this. And then I also have this end results, which I don't need. I could also filter this to only monthly, but this will work. The kind column is no longer needed, as I have a function that works with file path and sheet name. So the kind column can be removed. And now I go with the invoke custom function. The function I want to invoke is my function that filters columns. And the file name can be found in column merged, and the column name can be found in column name. Go OK. And there you go. This is from the first one. This is from the second one. This. And I can now just put them all together like so. And I no longer need this. Or actually, I could retain both of these just so I knew where it came from. But this is the data that I actually got. And this is where you virtually applause all over the place, right? Which for us is just doing. There you go. Okay, and that is the third kind of demo that I wanted to do for you. And just to show you where the brilliance was, the brilliance of lists was right here, right? So when we did the transpose, remove other columns, and then filter to only those that I need. And now I need to make this list of columns a true list. So we turn this into a list, and then we used it into the remove other columns step as a parameter. So we said that's the list of columns that you should retain, and all the others, just get rid of them. And then we turn that into a function, and then we just let it rip on the entire folder and on all the sheets in that folder. Okay, 4 minutes early. Brilliant.
Gašper, the professional Kamenšek.
Yeah, you were waiting all the time to bring that one up, right? Okay, so this is the Q&A. This is where the Q&A part officially starts.
We hit you with it.
And it will last until my kids go crazy, and then I'll have to leave. So go ahead.
The insight into Gašper life.
Yeah, the hard life.
There's not really any questions on the chat. So if anybody has a question for Gašper, please feel free to come forward and unmute yourself to ask, or throw it into the chat.
Yeah, so this was really, really fast. And it was really fast because I needed to get through all three of them. Luckily, there's a video of this, so you can, play it way slower. You can go through these steps that maybe went too fast at a slower pace. You can repeat it multiple times, but it's all there, and it's all brilliant. Okay.
It is that. There's lots of comments saying thank you.
Yeah.
But no questions.
You're welcome.
Questions, anybody?
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah, hi, my name is Rajendra.
Here.
I have a query, but it is related to fetching data from Yammer using Power Query. So I just want to know, under while using Yammer API, what number we have to put in that security code, the window which pops up. So I still not get any reference from anywhere. So if you can help me out.
Yeah, but this is a totally different question. It has nothing to do with lists or so this has to do with has to do with an API calls from Yammer or whatever
Okay.
they're offering with their APIs. And you really need to check their documentation because it's all APIs, either in Power BI or in Power Query, it's mostly about headers.
Okay.
And what you need to be careful about is in Microsoft documentation, there's quite a few examples where the header ends with something like, oh my God, what is it? It's something like credentials equals manual or manual credentials equals true, something like that. And that is something that you need to delete from their example so that it will work. And that is probably the only input I can give you quick without looking at your, certain example. If you have your API key, that's the one that you put in. So that should work.
Okay.
But I'll just put this into everyone. So this is my email, if I can type it correctly. Olympics.com. I'm just checking if I type it correctly. And you can shoot me an email with your example, because if you have your API key, you don't want to, show that on any screen. So just shoot me an email and we'll discuss it offline.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. Not a problem.
That's Gašper. You can make these files available, Gašper?
Yeah, I could. No problem. Do you want me to just flick them into the chat?
You can do, yeah.
Let's see if I can actually do this.
Have you got a link to where you're hosting them?
Well,
What are you doing?
I think they're only,
Caching them.
I think they're on Google Drive. That's where my documents are.
Okay.
I probably should never say this as a Microsoft MVP. So let me just go like this. Documents.
I'll send them one after in a message as well.
Yeah, well, I'll just see if this works. So it's this. I'll just do the start one, start. And for the last one, you're going to need the entire folder. So let's see if this works. Open. Oh, look, it worked.
There it is.
So let's do another one. Let's do demo 2. Open. So these are the start. So you only get the data. And I can also give you the end. So these are the end files. They're not the end files that would have been done right now. So some step names could be different. You might even learn some Slovenian along the way. Like this. And then I'll give you both of the files from the folder, but you're going to have to put them in a folder. Oh, and then this happens. So anyone knows how to resolve this? I would be really interested in this because this was killing me on my Zoom sessions every time. So let's try again. No. So as far as the folder ones go, I'll just send them to you, Alan, and then you upload them.
Okay, mate. No
Is that
worries.
okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay. Any other questions, people? Because if you have no questions, I gotta say it's so good to see your faces. I mean, it's like we're in Amsterdam or somewhere again, right? Or in Bulgaria or Slovenia or whatever. Yeah. It's just great. It's great.
Feel free to show yourselves if you want to say hello or goodbye to Gašper.
And just a quick shout out to Tia for throwing this together. Very good.
Alan's the responsible one.
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you, Gašper.
I mean, we really appreciate this because Excel people by nature, we're sort of introverts. So we need to throw ourselves out there from time to time just to see that we're still alive and see other introverts. And this is brilliant. This is brilliant. Somebody putting this together. I know it's a big effort and thank you.
Everything okay at home, Gašper?
Yeah, yeah. It's so Slovenia has been off the Corona radar for I think 2 or 3 weeks now.
Okay.
The problem was I just got a new baby in January, so she was 1 month old when all this happened, and that was hard. And I swear to God, my 2-year-old was growing depressed at the end. I mean, we took him to walks and all that, but he was just missing his peers. I mean, you could see it. He was just depressed. I swear to God. Even the cartoons didn't work anymore because we never gave them to him, and so those worked for like a month. But then, yeah. So this is really cool. Seem to appreciate the sunshine and the, everything a lot more now.
Can
yourself,
you stop
Tony?
sharing the screen so we can see more people?
Oh, sorry, Oz. You love to see people, right?
Yes.
So let's do this.
Yeah, got to see Martin.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
And Sue. There's Sue.
Hey,
Yeah.
Oz, cool hat.
I like your
Right.
hat, Oz.
Thanks. Yeah, I had it made.
Hi,
The hat's made.
Hey. Celia. Yeah. Boa tarde. Boa tarde. All right.
I see your collection of hats in the background, Oz.
Boa
Yes,
tarde,
yes, yes.
Oz.
Huh?
Boa tarde, Oz. Good afternoon, it means. Nice to see you all. I'm going back to work. It's business hours here where I am, and I really need to go. Thank you so much, Gašper. It was brilliant. I've been working with lists